Hey y'all, I want to welcome y'all to this channel. It's the Chicago Vibe Podcast. We'll be dropping this Saturday with your girl, Lady T. Marie and Mr. Success. You don't want to miss it. Thank y'all for tuning in to It's the Chicago Vibe. Today, on today's show, we have a very special guest by the name of Katherine Miracle. Stay tuned.
Your Strategic Personal Brand, The Truth and the Lies by Katherine Miracle. Your GPS for creating a strategic personal brand based on your truth, your passion, your purpose. Without a strong team behind the brand will fail. Started in 2003, Miracle Resources was launched. Knowing your truth and your lies, find your truth. Get the people you want to work with. Connect with your tribe, share your value, grow, and change. Katherine Miracle, the igniter that gets your brand going. Brand plus team equals revenue. All right, everybody, welcome back to It's the Chicago Vibe with me,
Mr. Success,
Lady T, and our special guest, Katherine Miracle. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much. I love working with both of you. Glad to be back.
Thank you for coming back.
You're stuck with me. Whenever you want me, you got me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to open up and ask you the first question of the hour, and that's why was Miracle Resources created?
Well, I want to thank you for that question because my company, Miracle Resources, now owns 4 brands. Its initial design is the same as it is today. We go where help is needed. Many people need help with creating their personal brand. Many companies need help with their brand. Some established brands that you know of and maybe you love or you used to love, they're always relaunching and they need help. So it's always about building brands, but also building teams. We work with the team because without a strong team behind the brand will fail. And so that's why I designed the company. And we started in 2003. Guys, it's going to be 20 years on August 24th.
Wow.
Can you believe it? It's like,
Yes.
wow. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And today we're going to basically talk about your book, The Truth and the Lies, and the title of this book, The Truth and the Lies. How did you come up with this title?
Well, that's excellent. So with your strategic personal brand, everybody talks about personal branding, but it has to be strategic because there are truth and lies. And I want to tell you a story so that way you know. There was an influencer years ago. This is probably like 6 years ago. And I read an article about her. And I actually sent her my book because she was an influencer who was just trashing celebrities. It was all about celebrity gossip, but it was nasty, vindictive, horrible. And she said she woke up one morning and couldn't look at herself in the mirror. What does that mean? That means you're not being true to your value proposition, your God-given talents, who you are. You're doing something that's not comfortable. She didn't like what she was doing, but she was making good money, right? We all know somebody like that in our lives, right? If you try to live that lie, it's not going to work for you. It's about knowing your truth and your lies. Another part of that, and Sam, I want to thank you for that question, is sometimes we're branded as a child. You know, when we grew up in our family, maybe we were the smart one, the sick one, the pretty one, the hero of the family. And maybe as you have grown and changed and learned more about yourself, you want something different. You want something that serves to your value proposition, what I call your miracle resource. And when you're trying to live outside of that, trying to be something that you're not, it's going to come back and haunt you. Kind of like that influencer who looked in the mirror and said, why am I doing this? I don't want to do this. This isn't me. So we are now in a world where every day, we're posting, and whether you're on Threads or whether you're on TikTok or whether you got a YouTube channel, people want to know your story. Who are you? You're putting out into the world all of this great content, but if it's a lie, you've got to continue to live that lie. So this is why I say to people, I would literally, as a business owner, I tell people, let's take some time to think about your value proposition, the way you want to communicate it, the way that you want to tell the stories, the way that you want to engage. Don't try to get everybody in the world to follow you. Get your tribe, the people that you want to work with, the people who you have influence. Not everybody's going to like your brand. You guys know brands that you don't like. That's okay. You're not their target market. Right. So what we're doing in our society is that push, and you see people just push, instead of really trying to connect with the people who get what you do, need what you do. Because strategic personal branding is about sharing your value proposition through storytelling and being engaging, but most of all, being helpful. So you got to find the right people who want the help, right?
Absolutely.
Sorry for the long answer, but
Hey, it was all
No, that's
good.
fine.
okay.
That's fine. In the about section, it states Katherine Miracle's MBA is called an igniter. Now, did anything specifically come up with the name, or is it just the name you inherited?
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much, Lady T. I love this story. So I work with a lot of CEOs, and I'll work with their teams, and we help their teams to really feel the brand, know the brand, help be a part of building the brand. And one CEO said to me, "You're an igniter. You get everybody going. Like, they get excited when you come in. They know we're going to do some great work and you're going to listen, but we're also going to come out with something great. So you're an igniter." And then I heard that from a friend, and I was like, oh my gosh. And so it was kind of funny because the CEO that I worked with had shared on, I think it was LinkedIn or one of the platforms, I had Katherine come in today, and she's an igniter. She gets things going. So my mentor, Bill Denahan, was always a change agent. And he really is a change agent. But I like the word igniter because you need somebody who gets things going, get things excited, get that passion going. And then again, there's going to be people who need to sustain that. So sometimes I am the igniter who gets that brand going. Then I move on to work with other brands. That's the great thing about Miracle Resources. We've got clients who've been with us since 2003, but clients who just need a little more push, or their employees need a little more push to be a strong team player and to know how to work together. So thank you for that. I like being the igniter.
Okay.
That was good. And reading through your book in chapter 1, the word discipline came up, and it states, discipline is not a fun word, but it's the only way to achieve goals. Can you tell our audience how important is this?
So important, but so hard. So I think sometimes we think about discipline, meaning that, we're going to get in trouble or there's going to be judgment. I want you to think about discipline differently. This is hard. This is the hard stuff. Okay. So I want to be real honest with your audience. You can't be everything to everybody. There's going to be people who don't like you, especially if you're out on social media and you're promoting and you're talking and you're sharing your stories. You're not everybody's cup of tea. Can I just say that? All right. So here's the hard thing. The discipline is being consistent to connect with the people who you can provide value to. The discipline to stay true to who you are, to stay true to the kind of work that you want to do. So discipline for me means, I would love to go to every networking event. I love people. I love, talking to people. I love meeting new people, but I need to be with the right audience that needs my work. So I have to be disciplined. And there's a lot of things that you have to say no to. Now, during the pandemic, when we're all home and we can just, talk to everybody, and we have tons of hours to do that. I was like on 12 Zooms a day. But my discipline now, because I'm back traveling and doing some Zooms and Teams, my discipline is I can't say yes to everything. So it's really self-accountability, and it's really a disciplined matter of saying, how am I going to best use my time to help connect to the people who can benefit through the value that I bring?
Alrighty. The next question is for you. In chapter 1, you also mentioned understanding the consequences of your brand posting. Can you give us a little insight on what you mean by that? statement.
Definitely. I want to share a story with you. You know, when I started Miracle Resources in 2003, I think I got on LinkedIn in like 2006, and I was an early adapter. There were, there was like really like the big thing, like Threads, I was on like the first day. So I want you guys to know that, we can post and hey, we could say anything we want, but we have to think about the consequences. So when I post a picture or what I'm going to say on any platform, any social media, I'm thinking, what will my family think? Okay, what will my clients think? What will my friends think? And again, maybe in that different orders, but I have to be true to understanding that in their lens, their eyes, they see me as a valued asset to their team, whether it's my family, my friends, or clients. If you saw a picture of Katherine Miracle, who's an author and a speaker and works with healthcare and education and hospitality industry, and you saw a picture of me doing something that you said, whoa, that is not Katherine. That's a consequence. Now, does that mean you can't have fun? Absolutely not. You can have fun for sure, but understand that there's a consequence to what you put out there. So we all maybe have a friend. Let's just take this story because it applies to all of us. Maybe we have a friend who's going through something really difficult, really difficult. They're kind of negative. They're going through, being kind of loud about how they feel about things, and it's really hurting their brand. You know it. You don't want to say it, but you feel bad for them because deep down inside that anger, and this is why I teach an emotional intelligence course. I have studied that forever, and I'm telling you, knowing your triggers. There's times when I see something on social media and I want to snap back. But if you snap back, understand the consequences. You're allowed to snap back. For some brands, that makes sense. So I think you have to think about your brand, your strategic personal brand, and determine when you look at all of your postings, what are you putting out there? Is the consequence good from what you're putting out there? I'm not saying to not be yourself. I'm not saying to be cookie cutter, but understand whatever you put out there that could come back. Like, you guys know how it is. Somebody comes up to you and says, oh, I just saw what you were doing on Instagram, or I love these pictures you're posting on Instagram. That's their last thought of your brand. So that's why we have to really think, okay, how are we engaging with people? Because there's consequences to every word we say. So it's time to stop and think about that. Not that you can't have fun, but are you willing to take the consequence of what you post? So thank you for that question. That's a good one.
Man, that is true, because you got to be careful what you post, because this A-list celebrities then got unfollowed by people just because of things they post. Sometimes it's best to be quiet, but that brings me to the next question. Strategic personal branding is only successful with the 100% accountability. Can you explain to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, your accountability matters because, again, what you're putting out there, and again, the world is seeing. I used to ask this question. I think it's one of your questions, so I'm sorry if I'm bringing it up earlier. I ask a question when I speak to audiences: if you could have your message out to the world, what would you say? And people are so, oh, I don't know. Oh my gosh, I don't know. And I said, but guys, you're putting on social media every day. You think it's only going to your friends, but you don't know who's sharing it with who. Also, the people that follow you. So my comment is, be accountable for what you say. Do you feel comfortable? Like, here's an example. I see a lot of people, they will share an article. They have not read that article. If they read the whole article, they wouldn't be sharing it. The other thing is music, and I love music, but some of the music that we want to use on our latest TikTok, listen to the lyrics. Is that what you want to say, right? So this is what accountability looks like. And I know this stuff doesn't sound fun, the accountability, the discipline, but I want you to go to the other side of it. This is the phone call that I get as a success coach and a personal branding expert coach. I'll get a phone call. It's usually 3 a.m. from a client who says, I said something and I didn't think it through. I posted something and I deleted it, but I think people saw it. You don't want to be on that side. Now, of course, I'm going to listen. I'm going to help them. We're going to get through it. We're going to figure it out. Not fun stuff though, right? So I always want you to think the consequence if you post that? And also, what does it do to you? You know, there's so much talk about mental health and what social media is doing. And I want to just spend a minute here. You know, if you are on social media and it is just negative, 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 read the studies about what that does to you, how that hurts you, how that feeling, you know, of that. Now, for some people, they may feed off of it, but for other people, they're exhausted from it. So I think we have to know ourselves well enough and be accountable enough to say, when I put something out there, it can go viral. Do I believe in what I'm saying enough to let it go viral? Do I want to be known for that? Right? Okay, so thank you.
Yeah, that was good. And I can relate to that question as well. Are brands built externally or internally?
Oh, I love that question, Lady T. You're so smart. Okay, great brands are built internally. Brands that are built externally may have a short window of excitement, being the flavor of the month. But when it's built internally, that's how customers follow. So I want to give you an example. This is a great example that I give when I speak. And that is that a physician was doing it's not our client, physician was doing one of the procedures that's the most not fun to get. It starts with a C and ends with colonoscopy. What happens? The physician leaves in a piece of equipment. Now, the patient, leaves the doctor's office after the procedure and feels something, goes back and says, I feel something. Okay, it's found a piece of equipment is there. Now I'm going to ask you guys, who got sued?
Doctor. The physician.
In this case, and this is a case study, not my client, but this is a case study. You can look it up. Physician was not sued.
Oh, wow.
Do you want to know why?
Why?
Because the patient said, this is my doctor. I love my doctor. Everybody makes mistakes.
Wow.
That's personal branding. That is when you have the trust in your value proposition. That physician, surgeon, was so trusted and their value meant so much to the patient.
Wow.
The patient did not sue.
Wow.
Guys, there's been times over these horrific, you know, during the pandemic and, you know, the economic crisis of 2007, 2008. I started this business in 2003. In 2003, you know, we had really successful years, 2007, 2008, the economy is tanking, right? So I changed the business model, but I want you to know the clients who stayed with us, maybe they even were struggling, but stayed with us and paid us, even though the economy was really horrible for them. What I want you guys to know is that when you have a strong value proposition and someone trusts you, there's a lot of time invested in that relationship. And when I say time, I don't mean years. I mean like value brand equity. That physician had so much brand equity, so much trust in that patient that they were not sued. Now, I want you guys to think about your own brand equity. And another story to illustrate this for you guys. In 2003 and even beyond, before that, even when I was right out of college, networking was my thing. I met so many people. I really networked a lot. I went to like 5 or 6 networking events a week. Now I've owned the company 20 years. I don't have to go to as much. I still reach out and I still have great connection, but I don't have to go to as much because I built that network. So when Miracle Resources got hacked, our website got hacked, so many people from my past reached out to me and they said, hey, I got a message and I'm so sorry this happened to you. Now, I got to reconnect with so many people during that time because they were sending me messages and I picked up some repeat business and even some new business, understanding that, you know, everybody sometimes gets hacked. It's a horrific thing. It's horrible. It wasn't our website. It was actually, I think, my social Miracle Resources Facebook page or something. And it was so great to connect with people. But remember, I had brand equity with these people even from years before. So I didn't look at it as this hack is going to kill my business. I looked at it as I'm going to reconnect with everybody and make this an opportunity. That's the key in strategic personal branding.
That's what's up. And my next question is this related to when you answered it a little bit, but I can't stress this some more because I asked a similar question to my guests that come on the show because we get a lot of artists on here and a lot of them in the rap music, and this goes especially to some of my older guests that come on the show. I asked them the similar question when you mentioned, if I were to put you on CNN and the whole world is listening, what would you say? Can you please explain how important this really is? Because I can't stress it more and more before they come on the show.
Well, I'm so glad you asked the question because we really started asking that question in like 2003 because people just didn't know what to do with social media. Like from like 2006, 2010, I was doing a lot of corporate training on social media and social media policies. The reason why is because your message to the world, it could be something that you say and it goes viral and people say, oh, I know you for that post or for that action that happened. But here's the problem. What if you don't want to be known for that? So this is why we think, what is my message to the world? I mean, I'm a brand and team builder, and I believe brand plus team equals revenue. I don't think that you can have a great brand without a good team. Now you could say, well, I'm a brand and I don't have a team. Well, you do have people who follow you and promote you, and there's influencers that talk about you. So team is everything with brand. So brand plus team equals revenue. I want people to think about that because I want them to know if you surround yourself with a great network and you're clear with the stories and the communication, people will want to hear more from you. So see, that's the beauty of knowing what you want to put out in the world. I love helping people. I get people who write to me and say, hey, I need help with my resume. And so I put in the book some sample resumes and I've done a lot of LinkedIn articles on it. People need help. People need help promoting themselves, doing a video about themselves, telling their own story. I love to help people do that. So I do think each one of us has to consider, what is my message to the world? And my message is brand plus team equals revenue. At the end of the day, you have to build that network and you have to be able to share your story. And can we just take a moment to talk about some special people? I do a lot of work with introverts, people who are in high-level executive jobs that would test as an introvert. And I know do you guys both think I'm an extrovert? Raise your hand if you think I am. Okay, I'm actually not. I'm what's called an ambivert. I test in between the introvert and extrovert.
Oh, wow.
So I have a huge passion for people who say, I don't like telling my story. I feel boastful. I don't want to, come off as pushy. They really get their energy not from other people. They get their energy from, books and really recharging and, kind of music, all of that. And I want us as a society to appreciate them because I think that when we expect everyone to be like us, that's when we're in trouble. I think we have to do two things when we work with people: listen and observe. Listen and observe. So my message to the world is build your brand plus team equals revenue. But as you build that team, listen and observe because everyone learns differently, listens differently, and understand that you can get to the core of the real problem with the people that you're working with, or even the people in your life, if you listen and observe. So I want to thank you for that question. I appreciate that one. And thanks for letting me do a spotlight for my friends who are introverted, because I have those tendencies as well. And I think sometimes society loses their talent and doesn't listen to them the way that I would like them to, because they're creative and incredible, just like the extroverts and the ambiverts like me. It's us listening and observing each other to be better at working together.
And so you said that it's called an ambivert.
Yes. So if you take the test, like if you Google, how do I know if I'm an extrovert or introvert? Most people don't think about ambivert. I test like right in between. So in some of the testing, I would be called an ambivert because I'm extroverted, but I'm also introverted.
Okay, I think I'm ambivert too.
You got
I'm
to take the test. You're going to
Yeah, I
love it.
have to take the test.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's several tests. There's several free ones that you can take, but a lot of people aren't aware of what recharges them and what gets them going. And I'm a person who I do need time to recharge. I love meeting people. I have a speeches Friday. Can't wait to shake everybody's hand, say hi to everybody, look them in the eye, get to know them, talk to them. I'll be signing some books. It's going to be awesome. I love it. But after a couple hours, after I leave that event, I'm going to want to process it, think it through, try to connect with some people. You know, there's times you can't always talk to everybody who wants to come up and have a conversation, but I have enough of an intuition to be able to look in somebody's eyes and know they want to do a little more follow-up, and they might be afraid to ask. I'm also a college instructor. So sometimes as a college instructor, people don't want to ask a question. They feel uncomfortable, but I can kind of tell by talking to them. I might reach out and say, hey, how you doing? You know, what did you think of class? And then that opens the door to have a conversation, because not everybody is comfortable, you know, raising their hand or going up and saying, you know, going up to the speaker. So I think knowing these things about ourselves helps us, because I used to feel bad that I needed that time to recharge. I used to see it as a bad thing. And then I did the testing. I was like, okay, I get it. I get why I need that. That recharges me so I can be better the next time I go out.
Very good information. My next question for you is, you stated in the book, your personal brand is your GPS. What do you mean by this statement?
Okay, so for example, when you are going to post or you're going to share, or you decide to do a TikTok, your brand and knowing your value is your GPS to deciding how that post is going to look, what you're going to share, what kind of visuals. And here's a great example. Everybody who's watching or listening, I want you guys to go to my LinkedIn. It's Katherine Miracle MBA. I'll pop up. Okay, I'll pop up quick. Look at the visual I have in my background. I changed my visual to a very corporate building that I spoke in. I was actually in this building and spoke. I got that picture, and as soon as I posted it, people realized, okay, she does corporate work. And then I start getting the calls. I get the requests. Can you come to this leadership thing? Could you speak at this? The visual stated to people, this is who I am. This is my GPS. This is what I can do for you. Just like keywords that we use in search engine optimization. My LinkedIn, first thing it says, brand and team builder. So you know exactly what I do. It's my GPS. So if you look at me on social, yeah, you're going to see pictures of my granddaughters for sure. You are definitely going to see pictures of my family, but you'll see work kind of spread in there. You're probably not going to see pictures of food. I'm not a chef. I may post a picture when we went out to dinner for a special occasion, but if I'm posting pictures of things that don't relate to my value and what's important to me, it's a brand disconnect. So your brand is your GPS, because people see you as the value that you bring through the actions that you give, not just your words. Your words are important, but backing it up with actions. Because can we all just be honest? We all know people who brand themselves away and you're like, whoa, I know that person. They're not like that, right? So the key is that you want to use it as a GPS to guide you to the people who need you, that you can bring value to. So thank you for that question.
Sure. And my next question is, because I was actually made a commercial with this saying this up in it, because after the interview I did with a cousin of mine, I learned some stuff about myself, and then I was reading the book and this came up, so I know this is important. Do you know the truth about yourself? Can you tell everybody when you said that? Could you explain this to everybody?
Oh, so I'd love to. This is deep, guys. So are you guys ready? We're going to go deep. Okay. So the truth about yourself, maybe you had felt growing up that you weren't good at something. So I had it's in my book. One of the stories in my book talks about when I was in first grade, And when I was in first grade, I had a first grade teacher that my brother had had, and my parents were very nervous. I remember my parents being nervous about me having this teacher. There were problems. And when we got to the first day of class, we had our 64 crayons in a box with a sharpener. Remember those? But we had a piece of paper with small squares, 99 small squares. This is first grade. You were to pull out the correct color of blue. Remember, there's like 8 colors of blue, right? And you had to put it in this box. And she's shouting directions. And you need to do this, you need to do this. And no, not this color of red, this color of red. And, we're in first grade. Okay. So example, Craline blue. I don't think I even know how to spell that today, but I didn't in first grade as well. Well, I knew that I wasn't doing it right. I'd gotten behind. I wasn't keeping up with the instruction. I'm in first grade. I look at a friend's paper and I'm going to call her Jackie. It's not her real name. I copied off hers. Jackie got pulled up by her teacher to the front of the room. The teacher pulled down her pants and spanked her in front of the whole class. Now, that's not going to happen in today's society, I pray. But I went home, told my mom, and clearly, things happened at the school. It was, for me, traumatic in 2 ways. One was I hated that happened to my friend, but then it reinforced to me what I believed as a young child. I'm stupid. And now I know that when you're stupid and you get caught, you can be in danger. You can get hurt. So that put into me the idea that, okay, if I'm stupid, I'm not going to let anybody know I'm stupid. I'm going to be really nice to everybody. I'll be a people pleaser, right? Mm-hmm. And when it would come to a task, even in like 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade, I wouldn't do it. I'd like hang out to the side. I just didn't feel that I could do it. And then when I got a little bit older and I tried and had, I think, some really great teachers, I realized I could do it. I still didn't have the self-confidence because of that incident. And again, incidents of my life growing up thinking, hey, I was really stupid. So then when I was in college at the University of Akron, I had amazing instructors and the way they taught college was different. And I realized I'm getting this. I'm smart. I can do this. So the lie I believed was do the little bit you can, be super friendly to everybody, be a people pleaser. You're going to get through life and not get hurt. So I wouldn't take risks. Then when I started getting in high school, I had some really great teachers. And then, of course, at the University of Akron, then I'm taking more risks. And I'm realizing it's okay to fail. It's okay to mess up. It's okay to learn from that. And I realized I'm smart. So at the end of the day, all the people, relatives who told me I was not smart or gave me the indication that I wasn't smart, I then realized, okay, I am able to do things. So now I can dive into a difficult task and be able to get through it or get the resources to make it through. So what I mean is that each one of us has to go back and be honest with ourselves. What lie are you believing that's not true? Tough question, right? It's deep. But for me, I mean, my trigger about art, I know this sounds super weird. I got invited to one of those wine and paint things. And I was like, oh, it's going to be fun to be with my friends. And as soon as we started to paint, I was like, oh my God, because of that incident in that class with the crayons and all that stuff. And I thought, oh, so it was like a trigger for me to realize, Katherine, that was not true. You were 6 years old. You're not going to get 99 blocks right with the right color crayon when you've only got 64 and you can't even read some of these names. So you have to look back and say, what are those incidents in your life that you believe? Like I can see it in students and clients. I see their talent, but there's something that holds them back. You'll know somebody who doesn't live to their potential, right? Do y'all know somebody like that?
Absolutely.
More potential. But what is it that's holding them back until they can get to the core of that? And I hope they'll read this book because I've had many people say, hey, I realize what my thing is. So I don't know if you call it a shadow or an Achilles heel or, an event that happened. It may not be as traumatic as what happened to my friend in first grade, but I want you guys to know these incidents put in your mind something that's not true. So I stopped being a people pleaser. I started taking risks. I started taking harder classes. I went for my MBA. I said, I want to teach college. I didn't wait and say, I'm not very good at that. I was so excited. I wanted to teach college because it changed my life. That's when I realized I had so much more to offer. So stop believing the lie and the voice that says you can't do it, and start qualifying it. You can do it if you get the help and the resources. So don't let that lie hold you back. So thank you for letting me answer that one.
Wow, that's very powerful and very informative information, because a lot of people deal with that. They deal with the seeds that people have planted in their mindset, you know, because you are what you've been taught, you know, you become what you've been taught and what people, you know, put into your spirit, especially as a child. So that's really good.
And Lady T, I want to see your book on this topic, because I know you have, and I heard your story a little bit, and I just want to tell you, I love you. Keep telling that story, because I think everybody needs to know you've got to get the lies of what you believe about yourself out. And this isn't carte blanche that everybody, you know, can just do anything they want. It's accountability. It's accountability to say, you know, if you feel you're not good at something, let's figure that out and let's not give up. And today is actually one of my mentors' birthdays. Her name is Lynn Mazzana. And Lynn Mazzana, I've worked for her on several different projects with different clients. And she'll always say, when we hit a dead end as a team, she'll say, everybody here has a great mind. We're going to work together and figure it out. She does not give up. That's why she's been so successful. And I agree with that. Okay, maybe it's going to take a little longer, but we're going to figure it out. So stop believing the lie that you were told maybe as a child, or maybe you believed, maybe you had this belief about yourself because somebody was better at something. We all have value. That's what strategic personal branding is finding that value and matching it with the right people who need your help. So thank you for that question.
Very good. My next question for you, Katherine, is in the beginning of chapter 4, you stated stop looking at titles and instead think tasks, projects, and relationships. Explain to the audience more what you mean by this.
Thank you. I've worked with over 1,000 different organizations. Some are large corporations, some are regional, where they have, across the United States campuses, some international now. And I've worked with startups. I've worked with fashion designers, celebrities, athletes, and all these different things that I do. And what I want to say to you guys is when you think about this question, this question of knowing yourself, being accountable, understanding your personal brand. There are so many times that someone believes something about themselves that's not true, right? So I want you guys to go to the core of this question. And Lady T, I want to thank you for asking it. You have to be accountable, but you also have to understand, listening and observing to help others go to that next level. So for all of us to go to the next level, and again, working with so many organizations, I've seen people who believe something that's not true and they hold themselves back, or they're not listening and observing and they're clashing with coworkers. Do you know what I mean? I see that too. So Lady T, I do want you to restate the question, because I want to make sure I answered it just the way you needed me to.
Okay, I will. Give me 1 second. I'm sorry.
All right. I just wanted to make sure I really hit the core of that, because it was so important to me to share with you guys. There are times that it's tough working on a team. It is tough working with other people. And there are times when you listen and observe and realize, okay, this is why, this is what's happening. And you have to decide strategically how you're going to use your brand to work it through. Go ahead, Lady T.
Okay. The question is, you stated stop looking at titles and instead think task, project, and relationships.
Okay, so here's the short answer to that one. So thank you for letting me come back and say that one. Many people say they want to be a CEO, and I have a speech that's called So You Want to Be a CEO, and we talk about the strategic personal brand of CEOs. I've done a lot of work with CEOs. People sometimes want that because they've heard that title, or they want to be a chief marketing officer, or they want to be an executive director. I don't want you to think like that. I want you to think titles. What's your perfect workday? That's what chapter 4 in the book covers. Be honest about your perfect workday. Who do you want to work with? Where do you want to work? What kind of location do you want to work in? So I think people are really hung up on a title. And I've known people from working with 1,000 different organizations that have said, I really thought because my parents told me I should be a CFO, that's what I want to be. But what I really want to do more is some innovation. And I really want to work on the investment side of the company. And I say, okay, great. Let's talk about that. Don't think the title, think the task. Okay. Because if you look at a title and the task that it has, you don't like, you're not going to be happy. And then you're going to want to switch jobs. Right. Okay, so thank you. Thanks for letting me give a short answer on that one.
And it brings me to my next question. I know we hit on some similar to this, but can you let us know about the personal branding planning and how that it came from a bad time in your life, and now you make it motivate you to help you move forward?
Oh, this is a big one. Okay, so we're going to go deep again. For me, when I was in college, a tragedy happened to 2 of my sorority sisters. My little sister in sorority, which is like your little sister, even though it's not biological. And her name was Dawn. And then my pledge sister, Wendy. And I don't know about you guys, but you ever have a friend that just has your back? That was Wendy. And Dawn was just pure joy and pure love. And the 2 of them were going to a party that I was supposed to be in the car with them. Dawn and I had an argument the Wednesday before this Saturday night party. Well, that Saturday, September 1st, 1986, the girls were driving and some guys threw a rock. They did not know that the guys who threw the rock were the ones who said they were going to come and help them. The rest of the story is very hard for me to talk about, even though it's so many years, but we lost our friends that night. And I went into a tailspin. I became a person that I'm so different than who I really am. I was angry. I didn't understand why at ages 21 and 20, they were taken from this earth. It was horrific what happened. I became a very mean person. I cut off a lot of relationships. I was failing out of school. I wasn't going to class. And it was the good instructors that I had at the University of Akron who said to me, Katherine, I need your help in class. And then I came back. Do you see? So instead of saying, honey, I saw it on the news, it's horrific, I'm so sorry, it was, Katherine, I need you to come back to television production class. It was Dr. Ruth Lewis. Never forget. And of course, Dr. Dudley Turner, who's my mentor, they brought me back and I came back to campus, came back and started slowly, coming back, but I was literally failing out of school. And I just became a person who I never wanted to be. So for me, your strategic personal brand goes to what things are you and what things are not you. So a simple lesson in mindset for me, I would drive under the bridge where the guys threw the rock. I had to drive there when I started teaching at the University of Akron, and I would cry every time I went under that bridge. I would cry almost till I got to campus. I just couldn't even control it. It was bad. And I said, I can't do this. This is not my brand. I need to be on campus, helping people, working with faculty, working with students. I need to do my public speaking. I need to be strong. And so I decided that after this crying under the bridge thing needed to stop, every time I went to the bridge, my new mindset was, I'm going to remember one memory about my time with Dawn and Wendy. I started to look forward to that time because all these memories kept coming back. So I had a new GPS on how I was going to work. Small example for you guys, when you're feeling tired, when you feel like, I don't want to do this anymore, when you're like, oh, I hate this, I can't wait to quit, when you start dreaming about resigning your job, you go back to, why am I doing this? What do I love about this? How can I shift this to bring it so I can bring value? Why am I here? What am I supposed to be doing? Like, why did God put me here? Why is it that, I can teach in a classroom? And I had a student share with me about 6 years into teaching. She came up to me on the first day. I have students write a note and I'll say, tell me what you expect of me, Mrs. Miracle. Tell me about you. And then tell me if I was the best instructor ever. And this student wrote, I came to school. And I was supposed to come with my best friend, and she was murdered this summer. Okay, so she and I need to talk, right? So definitely we bond, we talk about things, we help each other. It's just a great situation. I'm not a social worker, but I did understand what she meant. She was going into a new place where she thought she'd have her friend beside her. And if you read any of my books, you'll know Dawn and I were supposed to start a business together. This marketing PR firm that I own, that was never supposed to be just me. It was going to be Dawn and I doing it together. And then she was going to split off and do fashion because she's a fashion merchandiser. So there's times when I would be in our old office in Akron and I would get upset. Like, I didn't want to do this alone. She was supposed to be here with me. So I understood where the student was coming from. But unless you change the mindset to a GPS of, here's how I'm going to build my brand. I'm going to take the tough stuff of my life and turn it into a campaign. Because Sammy, you've heard me say this before. I believe that your pain becomes a campaign to help others.
Yes,
That's what I
absolutely.
want to say. Sorry for bringing that up, but it's a lot of people go through that and they don't know how to pull it out. And I thought that would be a good insight for people in our audience.
I'm glad you brought it up. You know, I mean, it has to be said because that's the truth in all this. So, Sammy, we needed to talk about it. So thank you. Thanks for bringing it up. You did the right thing.
All right.
Okay. My next question for you, Miss Miracle, is can you explain to us how even things that seem simple, like the ringtones that you set on your phone, can hurt your brand?
Yeah, this is a great story, guys. So we were doing some consulting with a car dealership, and we're working with salespeople. And the one salesperson is kind of, a little robust and a little pushy with people. And the sales manager had said to me, hey, can you kind of work with this guy? And so I'm watching what happened. And so what happened, he's ready to sell a car. He's like this close, right? His ringtone goes off and the song is the BITCH is back. And everybody just kind of looks and he says, oh, that's my wife. And the couple who was buying the car was like, you know what? No, I don't want to buy from this guy. They were done. Okay. So they walk out. Now you guys might say, but you know what? That's funny. And that's what that guy loved. And, he loved that ringtone and he should be able to have any ringtone he wants. Sure. I agree with you. But I want to look at bottom line, which is what I do with my clients. They didn't sell that car that day. Now, you can still have that ringtone. You don't have to tell us what it means. Right? Now, if he had said it was his mother-in-law, maybe people would have been like, that's fine. But it's that, what experience are you giving? What are you feeling? So I just want you guys to know I recently bought a car. And, when you look at a dealership, to me, when I feel a part of, I feel important. I feel like my questions get answered, the things that I want. I feel like our brands align in the kind of quality that I want. And, they're listening to what I want. My car salesperson is Ruth. Ruth is sharp. She researched, found me what I wanted at the price I wanted, the miles I wanted. I was looking, and then my mother-in-law had a stroke. So I had to take a couple months off from looking. She wasn't calling me. She wasn't bugging me. She wasn't like on my tail to get this done. I needed to find a place for my mother-in-law because she needed more nursing skilled care. So that was priority. The car was after. And then when I said, hey, I'm ready, I think she sent me a New Year's thing and just said, Happy New Year. Nothing about like, and it was like personalized. It was Katherine and, hope everything's okay with your mother-in-law because she had known. And I said, I'm coming in. And so I ended up buying from her. So if you are selling something and people don't feel special or they don't get the experience they're looking for, or they do not feel a part of what you're doing, they're not going to come back. Now, for some brands, it doesn't matter. I don't expect to go to Aldi and get everything packaged slowly and perfectly in a Ritz-Carlton type of box. I know Aldi's going to throw my blueberries. They always do. At the end of the day, Aldi's quick. It's like getting through, right? So I don't expect the customer experience to change unless you've told me it's going to. So if you walk in and you expect something and they don't deliver, or they've told you they've got great customer service, but then they don't, then you feel the brand disconnect and you won't come back. So yes, it is as simple. And Lady T, thanks for asking, to what your ringtone is. And, you don't have to explain it. You can have a ringtone on there, but it's also, you are going to be you. And I get that. I'm not trying to change you from being you, but I am saying, think about the choices you make. Like when I go to meet with people, I usually dress up a little bit more, because when you do, it's a sign of that you respect them. So like Sammy and Lady T, every time I've seen you guys look great. I did my hair today. I got my jewelry on, got my earrings on. I'm ready. Okay, got my makeup on. There are times that you don't feel like doing that, everybody. I know that you're listening and you're saying, I don't want to do that anymore. I get it. But don't do it with the negative mindset. Do it with, I'm going to dress for the person that I'm going to meet with. And when you look nice and feel confident, it makes a difference. So yes, your visual, what you say, the way you talk in team meetings, not interrupting people. That's one of the biggest mistakes. People don't feel valued when you interrupt them, right? So thank you for letting me go into all those little details, because those details very much matter. So thanks, ADT. That was a good one.
I also want to say, too, to add on to what you said, when you look good, you feel good. You can feel your worst, like wake up and like, oh my God, I feel horrible. But even if in my worst day, I get up and I make sure I look good. So you have to. You never know who you may run into or meet. So it's important.
And my late friend, Linda Bloom, who a lot of people who follow me and read my books know Linda, and she's in my book. I talk about her. She said, Katherine, always have your nails done. So Linda, my nails are done for you. Because there are times that I was like, I'm going to hurry and do it, and hey, I'm not asking you to be perfect. Please know that's not what the book is about. The book is about, who do you want to be? So Lady T, we talked about, the detail, the ringtone, but I want to mention one story from the book, so important. My friend Avery, I changed the name. Avery was a tom girl. I was a tom girl when I was little. I was like a little tomboy, right? I did all the plowing with my dad, and like we cleared out the woods, so we had this big path to walk on. I worked with my dad in the garage. Avery was the same way. Avery became a corporate executive, and they sent her to what was called a leadership seminar, but it was more about getting her to put on makeup, getting her to get her nails done, like acrylics, getting her to dress more feminine. Now, I say in the book, that didn't work. That's not Avery. Avery dressing like she wants to dress, clean, nice clothes, of course, but not trying to look like something she's not. She didn't want to keep up with the acrylics, okay? She now does clear polish. Everything looks good. She doesn't want the crazy haircut. She wants something that's a little bit more. So please understand, guys, be true to who you are. But when we try to make somebody something that they're not, like Avery wasn't going to keep doing it. She's a great executive leader. She ended up leaving that company because they tried to change her. They tried to make her into something she didn't want to be. So want to share with you guys, think about your own style, stay with it, stay true to it. And yeah, you could put your ringtone on, just understand the consequences of when it plays. Are you embarrassed by what it plays, right? You don't even have to answer what it's about. But at the end of the day, think about the consequences of the type of people you're working with. That's important.
Appearance is important. Yeah. And that brings me to our next question. In chapter 6, you mentioned that you have met people in successful coaching and that had no money to spread their message or to, get the jobs they wanted. Could you give us a little insight on that?
Yeah, this is a great story. So in 2005, I've owned the company 2 years, and I have several CEO clients. And one of the CEOs said, I have a brother who has, all the issues that you mentioned, and really just needs some guidance and really wants to take it to the next level. How do you get there? Well, first, as the book says, this brother of his had a lot of anger. He had a lot of anger. He wasn't being accountable for the choices that he made and the people that he hurt. He needed to get through that and get that figured out to go to that next step, because taking all that negativity into job interviews isn't going to work, right? So he had to use it and make his pain a campaign to help others. Started volunteering. We came up with a branding plan. We talked about, well, what do you like to volunteer? You like to work at the food bank. Okay, so we're going to get you some volunteering there. We're going to have you network with some other people. But also he had to understand that the consequences of his actions are going to hold with him. So here's an example. He said, I love that you teach at colleges. I want you to get me in at a college. I said, I can't. I can Google you and see everything that's happened to you. It's not going to happen. It won't, because of the choices made in the past. So also he didn't have the degree that was needed. So you've got to take what you want, maybe go get that degree, maybe find a school that will let you come in and teach. So understand, I don't like dousing anybody's dreams, but I also want to say at the level that I'm at, if I say, well, I'm going to run an Ironman, I can do it, but it's going to take me years to prepare. That's not something that I normally do. Okay. So I want you guys to know we've got to be honest with ourselves and realize, okay, where am I currently at? What do I need to move past to move forward? What resources do I need? And like Sammy, that your question said, you know, some of these people were really angry about what happened. And hey, go through the grief. I understand. I felt bad. Some of these choices that were made were being in the wrong place at the wrong time, but they are a part of the path, and you've got to grow from them. Which, by the way, I want to update you. That CEO's brother is doing really well these days. He's not teaching at the college level, but he is teaching, and he's helping some people who've been through what he's been through. He's also doing a recovery group that's amazing, and he has done a great job with it. But he had to move through the pain, not say it never happened, but he had to move through it and do something with it to take it to the next level. So Sammy, thank you. That's a big story. And again, it's very hard to tell somebody that's not something that can happen in the way you want it to, but let's adjust it so you can do it. Because what he really wanted to do was teach. He just thought he wanted to teach at a certain college that I teach at, that again has a different kind of requirement. So he's teaching and he's changing lives. And I got to be a part of that. I mean, what a blessing. He's a blessing.
That's
awesome.
awesome.
You know, he was really mean when we first met. He was kind of mean to me, but we got through that.
That's great. Very good story. My next and I believe the final question is the backup plan. What's the importance of having one?
Okay, so the backup plan, there are times when you go into personal branding and you say, hey, I want to work with this person, I want to work with that person. And you have to understand that the backup plan doesn't mean you're moving away from it. It's kind of like the guy I just talked about. You may have to get another skill set. So here, for example, me, 2003, I started Miracle Resources Marketing Public Relations. We hadn't had the training component yet. That didn't come till like 2006, and then like really full blown in like 2010, again, writing this book as well. So getting my MBA, I needed to do this. My daughter was a senior in high school, and, probably like was a crazy time because, her senior year, I want to be there for all those things. And I made it work. I found a school that I could go teach, or actually teach the classes I was teaching, but then also take my classes at night and then be with my clients during the day. So the backup plan for me was that I needed more education to kind of work with the clients that I'm working with. I needed the MBA to understand the businesses and corporations I was working with, how they were structured, how they were making money. And then it also helped me in my own business. So for me, a backup plan is adding more of a resource, whether it's school or classes or a networking group or a mentoring circle, which I talk about in Inquisitive Culture, my next book that we'll be meeting on. We'll talk about mentoring circles. But the backup plan is not walking away from what you want to do, but getting there in the right way. And it's very much like that gentleman that I was speaking of earlier. He wanted to teach, he wanted to make a difference for students. He was so focused on teaching at that particular school that he had missed the point of what teaching really is. It's really taking people to the next level, listening and observing, providing resources and coaching. And I've taught a lot of different places because I do, that in addition to running the company. At the end of the day, it's about helping people get to their full potential, no matter where I do it.
That's what's up.
Absolutely.
Next note, we're going to have a few commercial messages, so stay tuned.
Many people struggle with grief, and it can weigh you down. But God wants you to be free. There is a time, a season, and a purpose for everything under the sun. This commercial was sponsored by It's a Chicago Vibe with Lady T. Marie and Mr. Success.
Know Thyself by Joshua Bersuta. There are times where we feel everything is dull. We feel like everything is gray. This is because you do not know yourself. You will find your way to live life each and every day. Know yourself. Know your role. Find your gift. It can take days, months, years to find yourself, but you must keep searching. Only time will tell. But the real you is inside you. That person is the positive side of you. You live for you. You write your own rules. You write your own praises. We all go through this. But know thyself. Let love guide you home. Know yourself.
Hey you, do you feel your back is up against the wall with nowhere to go or turn? Mental illness is real. And if you or someone you know is battling with this demon, try Jesus. This commercial is sponsored by the Lord.
All right, everybody, welcome back to It's a Chicago Vibe. Me, Lady T, we having a nice conversation here with our special guest, Katherine Miracle. She's been telling us about this wonderful book. It's so much information in here. If you're starting your brand or any type of business anyway, it's a guidance in here that you can take step by step. Not even if you're just starting a business, just to make you a better person. But before we get out of here, Katherine Miracle, can you tell them where they can find this book, you, or any details about Katherine resources?
Oh, yes. Okay. So for the book, Your Strategic Personal Brand, Amazon, and even if you go to author and type in Katherine Miracle, there's an about the author and there's a little bit of information about me. You can hit follow. And that way, when I post, you can see things I'm doing. We can interact. Our company is called Miracle Resources, and we have 4 brands. You can look at miracleresources.com. Also, if you're interested, maybe you listen today and you thought you'd like to bring me in for a women's conference or a corporate team meeting or a keynote, I do all of that. And I can do my Zoom teams and live in person. KatherineMiracle.com will help you with all of that. So KatherineMiracle.com, that website is dedicated to the speaking and the delivering of information. But, I really love to connect with people. I love to help. And I think this book is a great way to do it. So those of you who pick up the book, shoot me some feedback. Let me know how it helped you, because the things I shared in today's interview of people saying, I just didn't know where to go. I don't know what to do next. I don't know what to say to the world. These are people who say, hey, I get on social media and I see these other people killing it with their platform, but I don't know what I want to do. Or even the CEOs who reach out to me and say, I'm just focused on working. I just do my job. Why do I need a strategic personal brand? Well, remember, a strategic personal brand is your value proposition. It's what gets you the job and keeps you the job. So it's not just fluff stuff, fun, oh, I need a personal brand. This is being very deliberate about taking the skills that you have and introducing them and sharing them by storytelling to the people who need them. The sooner you do that, the sooner you have synergy. And that's where brand plus team equals revenue comes in. So it's a very important piece for all of us. That's why I teach this class at a college level. I teach a personal branding class at the collegiate level. I do a lot of corporate work, and people all buy the book and they do a book club, and I join them once a month. So fun. I would love to work with you to help you take it to the next level with your strategic personal brand.
Yeah, you have it, folks, right here on This is Chicago Vibe. Check that book out because it's a lot of topics in there that, hey, it's real helpful. We couldn't reach everything. You see, it's been over an hour. We've been here 5 hours. So a lot of important messages up in here when you talking about branding. But before we get out of here, Lady T, you know the business. Hit the people with the words of affirmation.
Hello, everyone. Today's affirmation is to be strategic and to be personal and brand yourself, to build yourself, and, stay focused, stay consistent. Consistency is the key. If you stay consistent at whatever it is you put your mind to do, you will achieve everything that you desire to achieve. I am your girl, Lady T. Marie, with It's a Chicago Vibe. And till next week, I'll see y'all.
DJ Mr. Success.
Yes, sir. And you know my motto when you with Mr. Success, you always have a ball. If I can't tell the truth, there's nothing at all. Mr. Success, blame pleasure, no stress. Peace.
Peace out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
C-H-I-C-A-G-O, C-H-I-C-A, let's go, go, C-H-I-C-A-G-O, C-H-I-C-A, let's go, go, C-H-I-C-A-G-O, C-H-I-C-A, let's go, go,
DJ Mr. Success.
C-H-I-C-A, let's go, go, C-H-I-C-A-G-O, 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 C-H-I-C-A.